and welcome to another episode of Literally Literary, where we cover the literary events, venues, and different things that are going on in Yamhill County that have to do with literature. Today we are with Lucy Huffine of the Yamhill County Law Library. Lucy, thank you so much for letting us come by today.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to be here.
So can you tell us a little bit about the Yamhill County Law Library? I know it's here locally in McMinnville, Oregon, and so I guess it's kind of been a long story with the Law Library. The county itself was created in 1843 before the Civil War, but the Law Library really wasn't created until like around the Depression, maybe?
Well, it was actually in 1927 when the state of Oregon declared, I guess, that we were going to have county law libraries, one in each county, that would be open to the public. And so that's when it all started. And this library, I'm not sure exactly when the Yamhill County Law Library started, but probably back in the day it was in the old courthouse building, which is across the street from where we are now.
Lucy, can you tell us a little bit about being a librarian in a law library? I guess it's a little bit different than being a librarian in a public library, but how did you become a librarian?
Yeah, a law library is a very separate and distinct kind of library. And I became a librarian. I got my master's degree in library science back in the mid-1980s, and I worked in an academic library for many years. I had never worked in a law library before I got this job, and I've been here at the Yamhill County Law Library for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in December. It's been very interesting because I don't have any background in law. I don't have a law degree. I've never worked in the law. So I had to do a lot of catching up as far as understanding what kinds of materials we had here, what the law books are, how to find cases, how to find different things that people need to know about the law, what the various databases are that you can do legal research in. And so that part of it was new to me, although of course doing research wasn't new to me because that's sort of what you do as a librarian.
So I think it's an interesting point when you talk about having people come in and research legal issues of their own. So it's important to know that the law librarian can't give any legal advice.
That's right. I have to be very careful, and there's a fine line sometimes between helping people find information and interpreting it. I am not legally allowed to interpret any kind of law information because I'm not an attorney, but I can help people find things.
So you have a lot of databases here in your computer room that help people sort out some things, as well as a lot of books on the wall. But can you tell us a little bit about some of your databases and search engines?
The two big ones that we have are called Westlaw and Lexis, and some people may be familiar with those, particularly if you're an attorney. You're probably familiar with those. They are sort of the big legal research databases, and we have both of those on our computer in the room there where we have the public access computer. Anybody can come in and use those to do legal research, whether you want to look up cases or do case history, multiple kinds of things you might want to do in legal research. Those are the two most powerful databases, and they are available in our library.
And do you have mostly attorneys that come in, or judges, or do you have a lot of civilian, just regular people coming in? What's your demographic like here?
We have some of both. We do have attorneys who come in, and we have just, regular people who just need some information about law, whether they're involved in their own, legal case or they just want to know something. And those two groups use the library a little differently. Attorneys will come in and they usually know what they're looking for. They usually go right to the computer and do their research. Whereas people who are not attorneys walk into a law library and just be totally bewildered about what's here. And so they will have questions about, how can I find this? Or, where would I look for that? Or, I'm involved in a will or an estate debate with somebody and I need to know something about that. So usually people who are not attorneys kind of need a little more guidance and help in finding things.
So the law library, it's across the street from the courthouse. We're kind of here on the corner. And is the parking all on street, or is there any off street parking at the law library?
There is on-street parking, and usually it's not too hard to find parking. And then there is the parking structure,
Right.
which is sort of kitty corner from where we are on the corner of 5th and Evans.
And that's across from the community center, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
What about the hours of the law library itself as far as availability?
Well, the law library is available and open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, when this building is open. The only time that it's staffed is when I'm here. I'm the only staff, and I am here Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 10 to 2. If you did have questions that you would like to convey to me at other times, you can email them to me, and the email address is library@co.yamhill.or.us.
Can you kind of talk to us about why it's important to have books?
Well, yes, it is, and that's true. A lot of people think, oh, it's all online, you know. Well, it isn't all online, and some of it actually I think is a little easier to search through books than online. And an example would be we have a collection of the Oregon State Bar. We call them bar books. They publish books on various legal topics. Now they are online on the computer. You can look them up there. But we also have a collection of them in print. And sometimes I think when helping somebody find information on a topic, it's a little easier just to go to that book that's on that topic, scan through the table of contents, and then, you know, let somebody browse a little bit and find information that way. We also have some things that are good for getting some background information on a certain legal topic, where you can just look it up and find a whole, you know, essays that have been written by legal experts on a particular topic that are very interesting. We have books that are called treatises, which sort of treat a particular topic in law, and you can just find it all there in one place. So, you know, books are still very important and are very useful, and sometimes even easier to find things. I find it, for instance, if I want to look up one of the Oregon Revised Statutes, which covers the laws of Oregon State, so that would cover property disputes and that kind of thing. You can do that online. You know, it's not too hard. But I have the set right here on the shelf, and a lot of times I find it easier to just go and grab the volume that's got that particular law in it and just open it up and read it. So, you know, there is still quite a good use for books.
And what kind of federal laws do you have here?
Well, we do have in print the entire U.S. Code, which is the, you know, code of law, our federal laws. We have that in print, and that's also searchable online. And we also have the reports of the U.S. Supreme Court in print, as well as online. So you can have access to, you know, federal law as well as state and local.
I have a question about law library as far as the staff and the administration and the law librarians themselves. Do you ever have, you know, meetings with other law librarians where you talk shop about what you do and how you do it? Does that ever happen?
There is a statewide organization called the Oregon Council of County Law Libraries, OCCLL, and there are meetings twice yearly where as many of us as can get together, and we, you know, have an agenda and we talk about various aspects of county law librarianship that come up. There's also an online forum that we can talk to each other. So if somebody has a question about, you know, how are you doing something in your library, I'm thinking about doing that in my library, and then other librarians around the state will chime in with their answers. It's also a way we can share materials with each other. Sometimes we have books that we don't need in our libraries, and we can offer them to the other county law libraries.
How do you decide what books are held? Is there a board of directors that decides what's being brought in, or is it the librarian who decides what books?
Well, I can say in our case, it's the librarian who decides. A lot of the books that we have subscriptions to, so we will automatically get updated versions sent to us, in which case the older versions are discarded or given away or recycled as the new ones come in. So those are decisions, I think, that are pretty much made by librarians.
The law library for Yamhill County is located here in the Jack Spence House, which is actually on the record of historical locations, I believe. It was built really early on, apparently in the 1950s. It was a duplex, so it was still a residence at that time, but it's been the law library for quite some time now, hasn't it?
Well, it has been the law library for I want to say about 4 years. It was before my time. It used to be in a different building across the street on Evans Street. But then it was moved into this building, which also houses some other county offices. It's not just the law library here, but so I think it's been about 4 years now in this building.
And the law library is on the first floor. You go in the front door and just turn to the right.
That's right.
So what's on the second floor?
There's offices up there. The deputy county administrator's office is up there. Transit authorities is upstairs, and the accounting department is in the other half of the first floor in this building.
So it's a pretty busy place most of the time throughout the week.
Oh yeah, there's always people here.
A lot of beautiful architecture in this building, and there are a lot of nice little detail. The bookcase behind your desk there, I mean, it's a little glass bookcase. What all is in there?
Well, that's some of the oldest books that we have here in the library. I think the oldest one in there is 1874. And they are just some of the old compilations of Oregon law. So you could get into those books and find out what the law was in, 1889, or it goes up through the 1920s, I think.
Really?
Maybe into the 1930s. So yeah, that's what's in there, just some of those really nice old books.
The other architectural beauties in here is the fireplace in your office here. It's not a functional fireplace anymore, I take it.
Well, I have never used it.
Okay.
I can see some ashes in the bottom, so somebody has used it.
It's a beautiful piece of work.
It's lovely, and this is really a wonderful building to work in because of the beautiful little architectural features. And yes, I'm lucky enough to have my desk right here in front of this beautiful fireplace.
And the artwork in the centerpiece there, it has kind of it looks like Southern California, maybe, like stucco.
It does.
Yeah.
It looks like sort of a California mission
look.
It
It very much so. I'd be curious to see it doesn't say on the plaque who built the place or did the interior architecture, but it's certainly beautiful. And the hardwood floors are all restored.
Well, yes, they're very nice. They're lovely hardwood floors.
So you all have a sign-in logbook here at the front, I can see, where people sign in every day.
And I really appreciate people signing in on that when they come in to use the library. That information is used sort of as a head count, so we know how many people are using the library. And that could be possibly important as far as our funding. If more people are using the library, we may be able to get more funding. So it's really good. I encourage people to just sign in on that sheet by the front door.
Where does the Yamhill County Law Library get its funding?
Well, it does not come from tax dollars. It comes from court filing fees. And those fees are paid into the state's general fund, which is administered by the Oregon Judicial Department. And it's given out to each county to fund their county law library.
Well, thank you again for joining us on Literally Literary. And can you tell us real quick what your hours are going to be like over the holiday season for the rest of 2016?
Yeah, we'll be closed on Veterans Day, which is November 11th. And we're closed for the Thanksgiving holiday, Thanksgiving Day and the Friday after. And closed on Christmas Day. and New Year's Day.
So most of just the big major holidays are yours. You're open the rest of the time then.
Yeah, and whenever any of those major holidays fall on a Monday through Friday, we would be closed on
So
that
Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July.
Yeah,
So all the major holidays.
right.
That about wraps it up for another episode of Literally Literary. We want to thank Lucy Huffine of the Yamhill County Law Library for joining us today.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, and we will see you all next month in Yamhill County on Literally Literary.